Hi everyone, it's Ash here from FPLHints, back with another FPL deadline stream, and I hope you've had a fantastic game week. I certainly haven't for the past two, but I'm not alone this time. Joined, I'm joined tonight by Mr. Porridge himself, Andy Martin, FPL tactician, as we know him on FPL Twitter. And if you didn't know, Andy finished 2.2k last season, and I believe he triple captained De Bruyne as well at some point as
Oh
well.
yeah, I remember now. Yeah, cheers, Ash. Yeah,
Yeah, and you didn't own Mohamed Salah for long periods of last season as well. So,
oh yeah,
well,
no,
yeah, yeah, and it paid off. So welcome, Andy. How's it going, mate?
yeah, I'm good, mate. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Long time listener of yourself, big fan. So if you're asking me to be on the stream, I'll come happily. So love your work.
Thank you so much. And I am a fond admirer of your um, porridge-centric photos,
Thank
and
you.
flapjack. It's not a flapjack. What's he called? That red.
Oh,
What is it?
Elmo is
Elmo.
great, and
Elmo. It's weird. Elmo. In my mind, Elmo is now flapjack. So,
exactly right as well. Like I've said it at work as well because those pictures come from the cuddly toys that we have at work. We've had
yeah.
loads of Elmos in, and I'm like flapjack, and I mean no Elmo, and it's crazy. So
Oh
people don't know what I'm
goodness.
talking about.
Oh dear. Oh dear. But yeah. I mean, look. I know that you're enjoying your time off at the moment, and rightly so. And also, congratulations on the completion of Champman 3. So as well, that seems surreal. It was only yesterday when the first season began. I can't believe it's gone to number 3 now.
I know. I mean, 2.5 years since we first started in season one. It's gone quickly, but also like it feels like a different world away, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think what's gone in those 3 seasons that we've had Chapman, but I didn't do much work in season three. I tell you that. I mean, it was all down to FPL Panda and FPL Captain, who were season long putting all the hard graft in. So all
Yeah.
credit to them. But yeah, I was pleased to do bits and pieces. But yeah,
Right.
really
Fair
really
play, and
happy.
and the humility there. Don't put yourself down as a founding father as well. You've like with them, with all those people that you've mentioned, it wouldn't be what it is today if you didn't have your um input in there as well. So well done.
Thanks.
Great. So look, Andy, let's just get straight into it. We've got to review game week 9. I'm gonna switch screen for a moment, and I'll go to your team first of all, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
And I, yeah, my team. I'm not gonna. I don't want to talk about it too much, so we'll go straight to your team. So let me just flick on here, make sure it's the right team. Andy Martin. There we go. And yeah, Andy, just talk me through your team once it comes on screen. So what's going on
So
here?
look,
Sorry, my
I'm sure it's
screen has.
coming. I'm sure it's coming. I'm sure it's coming.
There we go. So there we go. So straight on the points. Morris stances. Game week 9. You got 100 points, Andy.
Yeah, thankfully. I mean, I was looking for 100 like near the end of the game, and Madison got booked. I was like, oh, maybe not this time. And then Ward got another save, and it took him into a bonus point as well. So that got me another 2 points and got to the 100. So yeah, nice to get there. We had a great Monday, as you can see. I had Madison and Ward,
Yep, let me just.
2 points from Brendan Johnson, but yeah, it was a really great week and really fun week for my team. So really pleased.
It's interesting. So, with Ward, how he's not kept a clean sheet at all until Monday night. You had Sanchez on your bench as well.
Mm.
So you had that option as well. Was it a case of it was a favourable fixture? I know that in the past when we've spoken, you favour fixtures more so over form. And it's incredible that the two players that you had, they got a significantly high number of points, and it was enough to get you 100. So, what was the thinking about starting Ward over Sanchez?
That's it. The main thing that I look for is fixtures. I look for players on good fixture runs, and I'll start. Even if the player or team is woefully out of form, I'll still trust the fixture and back the team that's playing the teams that I think are the weakest in the league. For me, it was an easy decision. I mean, Sanchez was going to Anfield, and Ward had Nottingham Forest at home. It wasn't even
Yeah,
a 50-50. It was like, yeah, I'm starting Ward. There's a the biggest concern was perhaps it doesn't start, but then I knew I had Sanchez come off the bench, so
Exactly, because there was talk ahead of the game that Iverson might have taken like the number 1 jersey off Ward, and if that was the case, it would have made perfect sense. And I think Madison, like that 18-point haul, like it's not like
yeah,
it's come out of nowhere. I've seen some stats that from the start of last season, in terms of goals and assists, he's right up there. And obviously, he's priced at 8 million. Leicester have had a terrible start, and his form, I wouldn't say his form has been like fantastic, but it's been like good enough for an 8.0. I mean, I'm looking at that 18-point haul. It's made it, more than good enough. Like, what was the
mm.
thinking about getting Madison in the team?
Yeah. I mean, so Madison was my transfer last week.
Yep.
Again, fixture driven. Like you look at Leicester's 4 fixtures from last week. I think it's Nottingham Forest, Bournemouth. 2 more coming up. I can't think offhand, but they had a run of 4 good fixtures, and Madison was a standout player in that team. It was an easy decision. I had Kulu, who was injured, straight money to Madison. It was just a simple transfer, I thought at the time. So last week, all through the international break as well, it was kind of like, no, I can't see myself doing anything else apart from that. Once Sonia Kulu was out, it was going to be Saka to Madison because
Mm.
I don't want to hold too many Arsenal players for 12. But with a Kulu injury and Arsenal looking quite good, I was happy to do that move.
And I know, like, we're talking about game week 9 here, and you've mentioned Arsenal. My understanding is you've used your wild card, Andy, haven't you?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
No,
you haven't. Sorry,
no.
sorry. I've sorry for that, for misspeaking there. So it's interesting. Like, I feel that there are some managers who've done so well with the triple City and triple Arsenal like combos that some of them don't even have a wild card. It'll be interesting to see how they're going to navigate game week 12. So yeah,
Yeah.
with your wild card, at least you can make relevant like changes there as and when required.
Yeah, I think for me, it's just going to be from now, it has to be the Arsenal players to go out ahead, leading up to game week 12. And then I can wildcard them back in if I need to. That's the way it's going to go, I think.
They're playing. Andy, I've just noticed you had Johnson as well for that Monday night game, and you also had like Nico Williams on the
Mm-hmm.
bench as well. So with Johnson, do you feel that like he's run his course, or do you feel there's more still to come from him?
Again, I got him in because the good fixture. I think it was game week 6 I got him in. He got a penalty in the first game I bought him. And right up until kind of game week 10, 11, I thought he had good fixtures. And I thought he'd chip in a few returns. And at 5.7, it's a good enabler price just to put him in and see what he does. Like if he got me 2 or 3 returns in that 5 week period, I was happy. So um, probably a bit less than I thought he would get, but it's fine because he's not that expensive. So
Fair
allows me other
play.
stuff. Yeah.
And I'm looking at your overall rank, Andy. I'm like, yeah, like it wasn't that long ago. You were right in the millions, and there you are in the top 500k because of that fantastic game week. So well done. But you're back in the mix, so to speak.
Yeah, tough, really tough start. My own fault, but really happy to be at this stage before the wild card as well. So I'm hopefully now can hold on to this rank for a bit and then wild card in 13 and push on before the World Cup. So yeah, set myself a new target now, probably 100k before the World Cup. I think is in sight.
Absolutely. I'd say that like in terms of I'm looking at game week 30. Yeah, even a top 50k rank is more than doable right now. So you're aiming for top 100k before the World Cup. Did you say? Is that right?
Yeah, top 100k before the World Cup. If I'm 100k at the World Cup, I think that'd be great. 250k at World Cup again from where I was, that's absolutely fine as well. So it's good to get to like 250k and reset. But I'm looking to target 100k for the World Cup.
No, fair play. And the fact you've got your wild card, you're in good stead there. So I'm going to flip my screen now, and I'm going to share. I'm kind of ashamed to like share my team.
Oh, don't be ashamed, Ash. Come on, it's fine.
I'm one of those people, right, who will amplify and sing out loud when I've had a good game week, but when I've had a bad game week, I'll go quiet. And I'm not. when we see the FPL Twitter average being like 250 every week, I'm probably partly to blame. But here we go. I'm going to share my team and how I did for game week 9 as well. And in my instance, it was really a case of I've been too patient with my team. I've not even made that many transfers. I think going into game week 9, I think I'd made like 6 transfers. So I've been like too like relaxed, so to speak. So obviously I scored above the average, 12 points above the average, but 80 points in game week 9 is basically a red arrow. And my
Mm.
rank, I was 157k 2 game weeks ago, and had a bad game week 8, went to 299k, and my rank fell further back as a result of scoring 80 points in game week 9. So yeah, coming on to my team, I've had this Edison Cancelo double City combo, which has obviously been problematic because it's blocked me from having Foden or KDB in my team.
Yeah.
But the issue I had was, before the state funeral, City were due to play Tottenham, if you remember, Andy.
Hmm.
And I had 2 free transfers, and one of the moves was to ship out Edison, and then that would then free up a City spot for the good run of games that they've basically had. And unfortunately, I couldn't make that move because of what's happened. And this double up, I think Edison still has the highest number of clean sheets for a goalkeeper, if I'm not mistaken. But this combination, I was expecting more like expected clean sheets, and obviously Cancelo um, hasn't been getting the attacking returns from his end as well, which is frustrating. Trippier has been sensational for me. Like 7 points seems to be his going rate, and I think
Mm.
he's now got 6 fancy returns in 8 game weeks. I called him. The question I put to the Hell Cheetah lads was that I feel that he is like the breakout budget star, absolutely sensational.
Yeah.
For
Really good.
anyone who had game week 1, yeah, James, kind of like 2 points. He can explode, but yeah, 2 points disappointing. Perisic, who I was very reluctant to get before game week 1 because of managed minutes. He's been a frustration for me. I think he's had like one super mega. I bought him 2 game weeks ago, and yeah, it hasn't worked out. And yeah, the less said about him, the better. And here it is, my midfield. Got Mohamed Salah there, who I have to concede to you, Andy. He is not value for money, and he is not worth it. And
Oh, it's hard to say that, isn't it?
it is hard to say that. He is no longer the perma captain, and I've just been too patient and too relaxed with him, unfortunately. And to be fair, I haven't captained him for quite some time now, but I don't know whether it's nostalgia, if it's something else. Because just as I'm about to sell him, he scores in the Champions League, and then he scores in the international break, and then it's like, okay, I'll keep him. The fixture's reasonable, and then he gets a 5 pointer, and then like, oh, I better sell him again. Scores in the Champions League. There's always like that little edge where he just, you know, every time I want out, he just sucks you back in. Unfortunately,
I mean, do you think he's the hardest person to sell because it is Mo Salah and it is past seasons gone by of how well he's done? Do you think he's the hardest person to sell?
I would say that among the elite 1,000 managers, I think that definitely was the case because I do like this captaincy video series, which I've done since game week 1, right? And I'm someone, as you know, I'm Captain EO, Captain Obvious, right? So the switch to Haaland as the perma captain, I was able to identify that relatively early. But I noticed that among the Elite 1000, uh, despite it being obvious that Haaland had more form than Salah, a lot of the Elite 1000 was still captaining him. And even in the last game week, Andy, without looking, guess how many managers among the Elite 1000 captained Salah? You'll be shocked.
15% of them.
20%.
Was it 20%? Wow. Okay.
20%. So it's almost like they've got this stubbornness that they missed out on the captaincy hat tricks of Haaland, and they've still got him, and they're still captaining him. I think 20% is a very large minority,
Mm.
and I feel that like it obviously, come on to game week 10, but they'll all be captaining Haaland now. But like it's been remarkable that he hasn't. I know it's been said time and time again, but Mohamed Salah has not been the same since AFCON. And you were the first person who said that. You got so much hate, you got so much stick, but Andy Martin, you were right.
Humbling. But yeah, I mean, it was back in March, and I was saying, look, Salah's not the same as he is. Come wildcard, when I wildcarded last season, it was game week 34. I said, I don't think I'm going to have him because I'm certainly not captain him because he's not showing what he can do, and I think he can go elsewhere and get bet against it. So I'm glad I did.
And in all fairness, I think there was double game week 26. You didn't have the triple captaincy chip, obviously, because you captained De Bruyne later on. And like you must have felt at that point, I remember like I was still adamant on captaining Salah, got 84 points. That must have really messed up your rank, right? You just shot back in that double game week. But then remarkably, you made up the lost ground. You finished much higher. I think we were in an interesting position. I remember it last year around Christmas time, you were like 300th in the world. I
Mm.
was like, I think 5 or 6K. There, not. I was about like 8K, right? And then gradually, the moves you made didn't pay off, and then you fell back. Double game week 26 escalated it further. I went to like 1.8K. You went to like 20K, and then you said something interesting to me, and I'll still remember it. You said, Ash, you know what? Our paths will cross again in the overall ranks, and you were right.
Yeah, I mean, it worked out. I was prepared at that time. It was a mad season, and with the amount of double game weeks and things, I knew I had to take the pain from like 26 to 29, whilst others played their wild cards and played other chips to come back later in the season. I was expecting a smaller drop because I
Mm,
dropped from, as you say, it was Christmas time. I was 371st after game week 19, and by game week 29, I was all the way down to 30k. And so in 10, 11 game weeks, I dropped from 300th in the world to 30k, and then climbed again back up to 2k, which is just a crazy thing. But at the time, I was still confident that I'd come back at the end of the season with the chips left. So
yeah. And I find it interesting that we had two very different strategies. And like, despite that, I finished 4.7K last season. We relatively, we both finished in the top 5K. It just goes
mm,
to show that you can play FPL in multiple ways. And
correct.
like, sometimes in one season it will work, other seasons it will not work. So, I really, I enjoyed following your journey last season. I know the season before wasn't great for you. So
No,
to finish like top 2 point, well, top sorry, 2.2K, must have won a lot of mini leagues, must have won a lot of prizes as well. So, fair play to that. And that's why I just wanted to highlight the Mohamed Salah thing, that you were right about it in the second half of last season, and you were right about it this season. And I think we were saying off air that you were probably 2 moves away, or even a captaincy move away from having a stellar start. Like if we exclude game week 1, you weren't a million miles off. You were ahead of the curve, so to speak, but in a different way.
yeah, I mean it's Kane blank game week 1 when I captained him. Didn't have Jesus in my team game week 2 when he got 19 points, and by game week 3 I was 5.5 million this season. So it was a rough start, and to go against the EO to try and perhaps stupidity, but I was trying to be brave with it.
Yeah.
Believe in fixtures, believe in Wilson's fixtures, and for the first two, and certainly believe in Kane game week 1. And then maybe switch to Haaland after that, but go against EO, and I thought maybe I could try and get ahead and
Yeah.
then stay ahead. But hey, I'm fighting back, and it's all fun. And you try something and it doesn't work, but it's okay.
No, fair play. And to be honest with you, Andy, like with myself, I really wanted to get Kane in my game week 1 team, but ultimately it came down to EO on the other side, where I saw Haaland's EO ahead of game week 1 was 53%, Kane's was 25%. And for me, it was like the worry was that if Haaland was to outscore Kane in game week 1, that would be detrimental to my rank. So from my side, it worked the other way. But yeah, like EO can be leveraged in different ways, and it's good to see that you've made up that lost ground in a matter of game weeks.
Yeah.
Uh, Coming on to my game week 9, the remaining players, right? So yeah, Salah hasn't been value for money. Diaz disappointment. Okay, came on second half, got like an assist there. Martinelli, yeah, 40 ticking along, can't complain at its price point. Coming onto the strikers, just disappointing with Mitrovic. Had to obviously get subbed off early. Jesus with his 8 points, which he's owned by a lot of managers, but a lot have sold him. So that helped me to some degree. But then, Haaland, everyone owns him. So that 46-point haul, Haaland could like blank, or he could get a megaton haul. It's going to make literally no difference in
No,
in the in the upper rank tiers. So yeah, I'm glad I captained him, but it's not making a difference. And then coming on to the subs, yeah, it just pains me. Danny flipping Ward, 8 point.
trust the fixtures. Trust the fixtures. Yeah,
Exactly. And do you know the funny thing is that if I had started Ward ahead of Edison, I probably would have got a very small green arrow. But it just didn't. To be fair, it was a harder fixture against United. But the reason why I started Edison over Ward, obviously because of Ward's just not been great in goal from what I've seen from the start of the season, but also with United, my understanding was that Rashford was apparently a fitness concern for the Manchester derby, and I just felt that like on a toe to toe basis, I thought City were the better team. I thought okay, a clean sheet probably could have been touch and go. I was expecting like a significant win. I thought okay, at the worst case scenario, they'll probably concede one goal, but I think Edison could match or exceed Ward's score, which wasn't the case. So yeah, looking at the bench, Emerson, my ex-Vibe player, who was a bit of a flop for me, got De Silva, flop as well, and Andreas, 2 points as a sub one. I guess that's the best we can ask for, right?
it is indeed. I mean that you haven't got work. You've got work hard to play still as well. Yeah.
Yes, I do, and I'm going to be very aggressive with it, Andy, because I kind of feel that. Do you remember in game week 7 when people activated the wild cards, and then obviously unexpectedly the queen, or in your case, you've planned for the queen dying from the tweets
She's
I've seen.
she's
You-
96. She's 96. She's gonna go sometime. Yeah.
yeah, and you like that's another thing. You're always ahead of the curve when it comes to like these sorts of matters. So, like in that case, obviously, the queen died. We had a state funeral. But those that activated the wild card in game week 7, I want to use like a Formula One analogy here. It's almost as if they not lapped. They went into the pit stops before the safety car came out, and they had a bit of a head start there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. All the other cars are slowing down, but they're still making a pit stop, and yeah, it does kind of. I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Yeah, but then I look at some of those teams. How many of them had Foden? How many of them had Madison? How many of them had like Zaha? How many of them had who am I missing? Who banged? Have I missed? Oh,
Trossard.
Trossard, Bowen. I don't think many of them probably had one of those players, so they weren't able to gauge like those players. And yeah, fair play if they have, but it is what it is. But from my perspective, I'll just come on to my overall rank. Like I've said, I hate showing my overall rank when I do bad, but I'm going to show it. 156k 2 weeks ago. There I am, 352k in the world. Again, it's not doom and gloom. It's like from my perspective, I can make up lost ground, but it's different for me, Andy, because the previous 2 seasons I got inside the top 100k like after 3 game weeks, and
Mm-hmm.
even in this season, I think by game week 3 I got to 109k. So the fact I'm not in the 100k, it doesn't feel normal. So it's now a case of when I used to play safe, I'm I'm not going to go against EO per se, but I will be taking more risks, especially with the wild card. It has to be done.
I think that's still a rank where you don't take too many risks. I think that's more than capable of getting the top 10k from there. I know that. I mean, the strange thing is that you're ahead of me, but I'm buoyant by my 470k rank, and you're deflated by a 352k rank.
Yeah.
But I'm still behind you. But it feels like because you've dropped off, you're disappointed, and because I'm climbing, I'm in a good
Yeah.
place. But I don't think it's a position where you think, oh, I've got to go for it and risk it. I think that's a fine position to be in
Yeah.
with
And
a wild card in hand.
that's true. We've only got a 5 point difference now, Andy. I think you've closed the gulf. Then you're right. I'm not going to take too many risks, but at the same time, I know that I can't afford another red arrow and push further back. I don't like, to be honest with you, I'm not really bothered about getting a red arrow back to back, but it's a case of if it's a dark red arrow, I need some momentum. As you know, if you recall from how you went from Boxing Day till like you had those red arrows that you kept on getting last season,
Mm-hmm.
and it's almost like it's like a cycle, isn't it? That you want to break that cycle sooner rather than later, I guess.
It is, but then if you think I'm working towards that, I'm working towards my wildcard week, then I'm working towards the gains I'll get from there. Sometimes you've got to look at weeks and think, look, I'm happy just to get a grey arrow, not push it, because I know the
Exactly.
gains are coming in different weeks. So there's certainly a time when people have a time to push and a time to consolidate and not worry too much. And I think when you play your wildcard, that's the time you want to expect big greens, don't you, for at least 2 or 3 weeks.
Exactly. How I play, I hope for a jump start. I don't mind having small green arrows or grey arrows, so to speak. Don't even mind small red arrows, but it's those dark red arrows that I look to like inoculate my team against. And yeah, anyway, it's lessons learned from the past 2
80
weeks.
points. 80 points is fine. It wasn't.
Yeah,
I don't think it's disastrous last game week,
no,
considering
it's
it's
not.
such a high scoring game week. 80 points. It's kind of like the minimum you needed last week. I think any less than that, and you're in trouble.
Yeah, and like from my perspective, we saw Trossard's like hauling Gerard Bowen, Foden, a lot of players who had relatively small EOs did well, but then when you add them up right, it then can be damaging to your rank if you don't own any of them. So look, it is what it is, and we go again. So let's review the games now for game week 10, and I'm going to start off with that lunch. Well, I was going to say lunchtime kickoff. It's not a lunchtime kickoff. It's a
It's
3
not.
p.m.
No.
kickoff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Annoyingly,
almost.
I love an early kickoff, but it's a shame.
Yeah. No, it's like for me, it's like you're preparing for brunch. You get all that like FPL hype in the morning. Yeah, we're not going to get that. It'll be like straight to the 3 p.m.s.
Mm.
So look, Andy, Bournemouth against Leicester. Like from my perspective, Leicester finally have some momentum. They need to win matches to get out of the relegation zone. Different class in terms of how, in terms of the players available. I'm calling that like a comfortable 2-goal Leicester win there. How about yourself?
I'm similar. I think what we saw from Monday night, Leicester are back to what we know. They had the nice break. It looks like they found what they're missing. The energy was there. They looked good on the ball. Maddison was the key to everything. Bournemouth are just toothless. I mean, I've been saying for a couple of weeks, I think because of the fixtures, people like Castagna, Justin, at their price, they're good defenders. And I think this fixture, I can see another clean sheet, and I think Leicester will win 2 or 3-0, personally.
Fair play. I think like with Maddison, right? Um, some commentators have said that, and pundits have said that it's too late for him to get into the England team. Do you feel that if he can still generate a good run of games, surely he comes into the reckoning, considering how like rubbish England have played in the past few matches at
Mm.
an international level? Do you think there's still a chance for him?
I'm sure there's a spot in there for him. Like, he's fighting against probably Bowen or Gallagher or someone,
Yeah,
and I think that he's a better player than those two personally, and he can offer more. Um, I know we've got a lot of attacking options, but Maddison, he's good at creating stuff. He's good on set pieces. He's good on the ball. Gets a good shot. I think he's one of those like wild card picks you want in case you need something like a bit of magic. So I would take Maddison. I love the guy. I mean, you see the
yeah,
interview on Monday Night Football again. Like,
incredible.
talks so well, so down to earth, great footballer, great mindset. I think he deserves it, but it's not up to me.
Do you know what I find remarkable, Andy? And you probably know the answer to this. He's only had one England cap
Yeah,
at senior level.
ridiculous. Yeah, crazy.
Scandalous. And it's like I do not want to compare him to like Matt Letitia, just for different reasons. But like like Letitia as a player, I'm talking about. I'm not talking about him post retirement. Um, I don't want to talk about that side. But like he was like he was so undercapped for what he was and his technical ability. I really hope this doesn't happen with Maddison, and I hope that if he misses the plane to Qatar, I hope that there is a place for him eventually. Maybe it will be in the post Southgate era, but he's too good to end like his career with one England cap,
No,
basically.
yeah, and if you look at players this season, like Mason Mount compared to Maddison, Maddison is being class this season. And if Southgate's still not on form, but I don't see how you don't have Maddison in that squad, really.
Exactly. And coming on to the next game, Chelsea against Wolves. Again, I'm calling that a comfortable win for Chelsea, a two-goal win. I think Neto's out injured. Wolves, obviously, a manager less, to my knowledge at the moment. Yeah, that's a two-goal clean sheet win there, comfortably.
Yeah, I mean, there's two things about this game. I hate not owning Reece James for this game.
Yeah,
I think like he's the player. I fear Reece James a lot when I don't own him, and I look at these kind of fictions and think, oh, this is reminiscent of Game Week 28 from last year, where Reece James could suddenly pop up with a 18, 20 pointer. And again, I'm going tomorrow thinking Wolves are not good attacking wise. I don't see where the goals are coming from.
yeah,
But then Diego Costa's going back to Stamford Bridge, so
yeah,
my fingers crossed that hopefully he gets something and to wipe out those Chelsea clean sheets. But
yeah. I
I
mean,
like yourself. I think 3-0 Chelsea. Yeah.
yeah, I've got James. So I need him to like bang for my team. I feel with Diego Costa. I think like as great as he was in his prime for Chelsea, he's not the same player, and he's like his fitness levels are probably like nowhere near to what he needs to be in the Premier League to start regular matches at the moment. And no doubt there'll be a lot of nostalgia. And if he is going to score, it'd have to be in this game. But I'm hoping as a James owner, it was just one game too soon for him.
Maybe so. I thought he looked quite good when he came on last week.
Yeah,
I thought he did enough to think, oh, he might get a start, and he was busy in the box. So we'll see. But Chelsea and Potter, I think against AC Milan they look really good, and I think 3-0 and fingers crossed that James just gets a clean sheet and that's it, because that
yeah.
could hurt me. Yeah.
And it's funny, you mentioned like Champions League football. I play as a casual manager, UEFA Fantasy, and I actually had James in my team, right? But I sold him for like some random Bayern Munich player, so I lost a lot of points there. But I was like, thank goodness it was in UEFA Fantasy and not
Yeah.
in FPL.
What was how
So
many points did you get? Like 20 points was it or something in
yeah,
Champions League?
he got
Fancy.
like he got a monster haul. Not sure how it was, but in terms of captaincy, I captained Sadio Mane, 30 points.
Nice.
So despite selling him, it kind of paid off. The Bayern Munich player that I bought, he got subbed off like before the hour mark as well, so didn't even get his clean sheets.
Was it Alfonso Davis? Was it?
Yeah, it was him. That's yeah.
Mm. I had him as well. Got 1 point half time
Oh.
sub. Yeah, not nice.
And how are you doing in UEFA Fantasy? Quick segue.
Yeah, I did okay. I think I got 80 something points this week, which is okay. My captaincy doesn't do well. I got Vlahovic for Juventus.
Okay.
He got one goal, but I thought he'd do better. But um, yeah, I think I'm 200k. So again, it's like a 10-minute thing for me where
Yeah.
it comes around to Tuesday. I'm like, oh, good, Champions League. Oh, let's have a look at fantasy. Enjoy the night kind of thing. It's not like
Yeah.
that serious. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, from my perspective, I know as much about Champions League football as much as I know about the Championship, which is pretty much zero. For all I know, Henrik Larsson is still playing for Celtic. Adriano is playing for Inter Milan, and we've got Zamorano playing for Inter Milan. I literally know
Yeah,
nothing.
I know. I'm still 20 years, as you know, I'm still 20 years behind as well. So
Yeah. So yeah, 169k. The reason why I played just for one reason, John Lundstrom is playing in the Champions League, right? So I wanted to complete the trilogy. I've had Lundstrom in FPL. I've had him in the Scottish Fantasy, and now I've got him in
nice.
like I've had him in UEFA Fantasy, and I sold him after game week 1. By the way, it's like, yep, I've done it now. That's like get lost. You know, you get your Ballon d'Or, and I've got the trilogy. So I kind of got roped into. Otherwise, I literally had no interest in playing it. Anyway, coming on to the next match, City against Southampton. That's comfortable 3-4 goal pass score there at the Etihad. From my perspective, Haaland obviously got subbed off midweek, so should have fresh legs. Yeah, there's
Yeah,
nothing beyond a comfortable win there for City.
I think it's absolutely prime tomorrow, isn't it? Foden's had his rest.
Yes.
Haaland's had half a game to just tick over nicely, couple more goals. This is, for me, this could be scary. I think it depends what Man City want to do. If it gets to 3-0 and they take their foot right off the gas, and Southampton might be happy with that as well, it might be
Yeah.
quite like a boring second half.
Yeah.
If they want to go for it, they can get 6 or 7 if they want to. But because I think with all the games coming up, I think it'll get to 3-0 and then it might go 4-0. But then the second half is just not worth watching. So I'll say 4-0, but it's very comfortable, I think.
Yeah. And like you said, Pep will decide how he wants to do it. If it is a comfortable lead early on, the minutes will get managed for those players. And like with Haaland, there was some concerns about his fitness ahead of game week 1, if you remember, Andy. And like, oh, he's a few weeks behind him. Some managers saw that he didn't score in the Community Shield and they panicked. But like, it's clear that he's breaking records. They're not going to rest him if he's scoring goals ultimately, and they're happy to manage his minutes. So it's working, and he hardly touches the ball. So he's hardly exerting that much on the pitch, apart from when he makes those runs into the box.
Yeah, I mean, also as well, my dad's triple captained him for this
Oh
week.
yeah, I saw that.
He on the basis that he thinks that they're going to try and get him another hat trick at home to keep the run going.
Ah,
So he thinks like if Haaland's on the arrow mark, he's got 2 goals, that he'll stay on for the full 90 until he gets the hat trick again to keep the run going, that kind of thing. So
yeah.
I can see the logic, and I think perhaps that does happen. But
And I saw this stat, I think it was on Sky Sports, where the record for the first 3 hat tricks in the Premier League was Michael Owen with 48 games, and then you've got Haaland with 8. It's
8,
ridiculous, isn't
oh
it?
my goodness.
Oh, do you know it's like someone's playing Championship Manager, right? And they've bought who's that guy in CM0102, the one that everyone loves. I've forgotten his name now. Can't from Eastern Europe. He passed away in real life, sadly.
Oh yeah,
What's his name? I've forgotten now. I don't want to
it
say
will
his name
come to
wrong.
me.
Yeah, we should know. We're the CM gurus there, but getting some CM let's say
Oh, what's his name?
we should know. I was just it's not. I'm gonna say Cherno Samba. It's not Cherno Samba, but someone getting a wonder kid, right? Going all out attack, direct passes, and they're just even. It wouldn't even happen in CM actually. It's ridiculous how like how anomalous it is. Who is that player? Oh God,
It's Maxim Tizalco, isn't it? There we go.
Maxim. Yeah, yeah, and So he's basically he's not even that. He's superhuman right now. So yeah, look, comfortable City win there. Coming to Newcastle against Brentford, I feel that Newcastle, I think we're 7th in the league, considering we've only won 2 matches. There's some of those draws that we had should really have been wins. I'm glad we got a comfortable win against Fulham last week. Brentford at home is a different proposition to playing Brentford at their own stadium. I'll call it a narrow Newcastle win. It might be 1-0, it might be 2-1, but we've got some momentum there. So I can't see it other than a narrow win.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 2-0 Newcastle. I mean, those 3 o'clock games, it could be 4 clean sheets
Yes.
if you look at it. So I'm gonna say that Newcastle win 2-0, and there's going to be some hefty defender scores again
Yeah.
after Saturday, and everyone's going to be like, "Big at the back is back," or we're moving that way again. But yeah, just the way the fixtures fall, I think we could see clean sheets. I'll be surprised if. I mean, I won't be surprised if Brentford score, but I'm going to say 2-0.
2-0. And yeah, just moving on to Brighton against Spurs. Brighton, obviously, we've not seen them in too many games. Well, we've only seen them in one game in the post Potter period. And Trossard is all of their players. Almost like Trossard, Pascal Gross, McAllister, say Welbeck to some degree as well. I don't know what's happened to them, but the past season or two, where there was talk of, oh, Brighton have a high XG, but they're not fulfilling it. They are now fulfilling it. I feel like Spurs at home is going to be a tricky match for them, and Spurs need to win games. After what happened in the North London derby, they can't get stuck in a rut, and I feel that Brighton will give them a good game, but I'm going to call this a narrow win for Spurs, even though it could end up as a draw.
Yeah, it's a good game to watch. I don't have any FPL assets, but I'm looking forward to watching it, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm going to say a draw. I think it'll be like a 2-2. I think it'll be a good game of football. I think it's mad, but maybe Spurs might be happy enough with a draw away to Brighton these days. A
Hmm.
lot of clubs won't be disappointed if they go to Brighton and get a draw.
No.
I think
Especially
2-2, but yeah.
yeah. Especially with the way that Brighton plays. So yeah, a draw wouldn't be like a mitigating disaster for Spurs. Coming on to the Sunday games and Palace against Leeds. Now, I've I've had the good fortune of seeing Palace at Selhurst Park this season, and in the match against Villa, when I watched them, they were absolutely sensational. They just tore Villa apart, and it's not been like plain sailing for like Palace since then. And as for Leeds, you had a great start to the season. Then Rodrigo got injured, and it's not been plain sailing for Leeds either. I think this is going to be a very entertaining game.
Mm-hmm.
I think it could potentially be a very high scoring game. Potentially, I'm going to call it a draw, even though I feel Palace are capable of winning it. But talk me out of it. Give me the Leeds verdict there.
No, I think this game suits us. I know Palace are good at home. I think Palace are a strong side. The fact that I think Palace will go for the mindset of they need 3 points in this game and go for it, I think we might be able to pick them off and be brave. Like Marsh is brave enough already, and I think if Palace go for it and we keep attackers like 3 or 4 attackers high up the pitch, I think we can cause them problems. I certainly wouldn't see clean sheet for either team.
Yeah.
I did clash the correspondence with Planet FPL this week on this game. I
Hmm.
said 1-1, and I think I'm sticking with that, even though we could perhaps see more opportunities and an interesting, entertaining game. But I'd still, hopefully, we can get a result on Sunday. And 1-1 would be great for us. I think Palace would be disappointed with that, though, if they drew.
No, fair play. And one player that I feel doesn't get like the respect that he deserves, especially during this calendar year, is Zaha, who I believe, if you look at the goals scored in 2022 in the Premier League, he's right up there behind like Kane and Son.
Mm.
And I like he clearly he's obviously the focal point of the attack for Palace. He's blanked unfortunately in the last 2 games. I feel that he's capable of scoring in this game. He scored 14 goals last season, lest we not forget. I feel that like he's gonna. Do you not think that he's gonna cause some problems to your defense there in the post Phillips era?
I think and hope that he's going to play more wide and we can double up on him. I'd be more worried about the players that aren't Zaha, that we're kind of not taking care of to cause damage. Anyone with like Eze or Elise, if they play, I think could do quite well. I think with
Yeah,
Zaha, I think we can keep him frustrated. Um, Obviously, he's such a good talent and a great goal scorer on pen. So he's the most popular pick because of the fixture run that Palace have, which starts from now. But I can't see him getting more than one return. Personally, it's not going to be
fair enough.
Hall. Yeah.
Mm, fair play. Moving on to the next match, West Ham against Fulham. I, I like with West Ham, like obviously their run of games will improve, but it's always that those teams that play on the Thursday night and then how they play on the weekend on the Sunday. There's clearly it's not the same, even though they'll shuffle their players around as well. I want to call that a West Ham win, but it won't be a comfortable one. I think it's a London derby, quote unquote, as well. So a narrow West Ham win for me.
Okay, I'm going to go for the shock of the weekend. If it is a shock, I'm going to say Fulham to win
Okay.
because of the Thursday night. Um, I I don't think West Ham have looked that great. I know they
Okay.
won last weekend. Wolves are terrible and they
Yep.
looked completely out of sorts. But I don't think West Ham will look great this season in the league. I think Fulham might turn up against a West Ham team that struggle after Thursdays. So I'm going to say 2-1 Fulham in this one.
But can I caveat that if Mitrovic doesn't start, do you still think they're capable of winning though without him?
I do. I think they can. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
interesting. No, fair play. I just feel that like the Thursday night game makes it problematic for West Ham. I'm hoping like the quality of players that they have should give them enough. But yeah, it could. I think could end as a draw. But I'll give it a narrow one. Fair play. Let's see how that works out for you. Then coming on to a very significant match, Arsenal against Liverpool.
What a game!
Arsenal,
What a game!
oh, amazing. The amount of attacking talent that will be on display is just it's just incredible to think what we're going to see. So hopefully that will be a good watch on the late Sunday afternoon. Arsenal flying high in the table. Liverpool have had I was going to say a mixed start to the season. It's been a terrible start for their standards, right? So I personally feel that I know history hasn't been on Arsenal's side when it's come to this fixture in the I was going to say like in the post Wenger era, even before his time. I'm calling this a draw. I want to
Mm.
favour Arsenal, but I just feel that this is a massive litmus test. If they can beat Liverpool at home, this I don't want to call it a title challenge, but the momentum will carry on going. But I just feel that it was almost like I'm not even an Arsenal fan, obviously, but like I feel that it was just almost too good against Spurs that they'll come back down to earth, but they'll do enough not to lose.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I'm with you as well. I can see this being a classic, one of the Sky Sports classics, like a 3-3,
Yeah,
one to look back on as a memory. Like, yeah, both teams. I think both teams will go for it. I think it'd be such a good game to watch. Arsenal have been great. If they
yeah,
win this as well, then wow, then we've got to take notice of them as title challengers. Really, if they can beat
yeah,
Spurs and Liverpool back to back. So,
yeah.
3-3. It's Liverpool's. They're still strong. So still got the attacking talent.
Mohamed Salah hat trick.
Yeah, it could be. Imagine
Jesus hat
everyone's
trick.
selling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be brilliant.
Like for me, I know that like with um Liverpool's fixtures next two, I think you mentioned it on Twitter as well. They're playing, top of the table and second of the table. But then the fixtures turn dramatically for Liverpool. West Ham at home, Forest, Leeds, and I'm in this weird situation, right? That I could still sell Mohamed Salah, right, for these two games and then bring him back on the wild card. But it's a tough one. It's like I'm kind of stuck with him, or am I? We'll see.
Yeah, it's. I mean, the wild card. Are you thinking of doing it at 13?
Sorry, what was that, Andy?
Are you thinking of doing the wild card in game week 13?
I think for me to attack it, I would potentially do it in game week 12 when teams will be depleted of Liverpool and Arsenal assets. So my plan would be to keep my minimum number of, let's just say, like hypothetically, I'll keep Mohamed Salah, I'll keep Haaland, right, and then the rest of the players I'll shuffle out. But then I look at my team right now. It's only about one or two other players. So I really because for me, it depends on game week 10 and 11. If I have two bad game weeks, I will attack game week 12. I have to. Um, I will only wildcard in game week 13 where if I feel I'm in a stronger state, if that makes sense.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I, for me, I'm like I don't want to bench Haaland and attack game week 12 by having not many on my bench from that week.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the way you think about it. I'm sure you
Yeah.
come up with a good strategy. But
Yeah.
13 for me is kind of locked in now, I think.
No, fair play. I mean, like for me, 13 is like the sensible window, but the attacking window is 12. But yeah,
Mm.
it's weird. I might even sell Salah actually, and maybe it's just Haaland on the bench because if I have Salah and Haaland on the bench, then the players on the pitch will be what like sixes and
Yeah,
sevens. So it won't
that's
be that great. So that's the
so much
problem.
money on the bench, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll probably review that, but I potentially would attack 12. Coming on to the final game for the Sunday, Everton against United. To be fair, Everton's defensive record, surprisingly this season with Connor Cody, It's not been like that bad actually, and
I don't know. I don't trust it.
no,
No, I think Pickford's made a lot of saves
yeah.
and kept the score low. Like there's games where he's made 6 saves, 8 saves, 5 saves, quite a lot, and some of those have been top draw, tip round the top of the corner. And I think against teams like Man U and Spurs, I think they can concede quite a few. So
I'm looking at the games this season. There's not been that many games when they've conceded more than one goal.
no, there's not. But if you look at the Liverpool game, for example, then Liverpool
Yeah,
should have scored 3 or 4 in that game, I thought.
yeah. I'm still calling this. I'll call it a United win, um, because of like the rotation that happened midweek. Again, I've talked about Thursday nights and the impact that will have. There's enough talent in the United team to beat Everton here, but I don't think United will batter Everton. It'll be a narrow win.
Yeah, I'm going to say 2-1 Manchester United on that one.
Their play. Coming on to the final match Monday night, it's Forest again against Aston Villa. Yeah, that's, Forest are in just this horrible deep spiral right now. Aston Villa aren't exactly like like they're not like Inter Milan at the moment themselves. I'm calling that an Aston Villa. I'm not calling it a win. I'm going to call it a draw. I feel that Forest need to bounce back from that Leicester defeat. They're not good enough to beat Villa, but and also Steve Cooper signed that long-term contract
Yeah,
as well, so there'll be like a feel-good factor as well. I feel they've got enough to like deny a victory to Villa. So yeah, I'm calling that a draw, even though Villa could beat them.
I'm going to have a Brennan Johnson day on Monday,
Oh,
and
of course, yes.
kind of like get it going all day and get the good vibes going, and eventually that will rub off on him when he sees it before he goes on the pitch and gets a couple of attacking returns. So I'm going to say Villa are bad. I'm going to say Forest to win 2-1.
Fair play. No, all the best and all the best. You've got Johnson, so I've got no doubt you have another Monday night player with 18 points to top up your tally there.
Oh, it'd be sweet, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Ah,
Everyone
and
else will be all out on Sunday, and I've got Brennan Johnson to go, so that'd be nice.
yeah, it's always nice having that Monday night player to top up your points before the season ends. And talking of game week 10, Andy, can you see your team there on screen? Is it quite
Yeah, that's fine.
small?
I mean, I know my team, but that's cool. If
There we
Yeah,
go.
that's fine.
Talk us through it.
So yeah, I mean, it's a good team. I'm happy with how it looks, considering I've still got a wild card left. Ideally, I wouldn't want as many Arsenal and Man City players in there as I do at the moment. The plan, as I said before, was Saka to Madison last week. But with the Kulu injury, it kind of forced me to do Kulu to Madison, which put me a transfer behind because I want to try and get all my players out for game week 12 and have like an optimal team that week. So this week, it'd be Saka out. Now, there's two options. I have got 3 million in the bank. So either can make the move to Zaha, which would be pretty much a straight swap. Zaha's got the fixtures. Zaha's got everyone kind of flocking to him, and rightly so. Talisman for Palace, good fixtures. Yeah, I get it. I completely understand it. But I've got the money to go to Sterling, and I think that's where I'm going to be at this week. Make the one transfer, Saka to Sterling. Sterling's got 3 nice fixtures in 10, 11, 12, and then I can wildcard him out after that. So again, the fixtures play. It looks like I could go for Sterling, and I think Sterling up front for Chelsea, kind of out of position because he's classed as a midfielder, but he's playing up top really.
Yeah.
I think that's the way to go. So that's 80% sure I'll go Sterling, 20% I'll go Zaha, but it'll be Saka out. Yeah.
No, fair play. And yeah, it makes total sense. Saka's attacking returns haven't been the same this season.
I like
I
him
don't,
though. I do like him. I like
yeah,
him.
he's like, look, he's doing his job. And the reality is that Arsenal have other attacking players who are not only are they complementing him, they're not, I wouldn't say they're undermining him. The team's just become like, the team has become less reliant on Saka. And yeah, I mean, those upgrades that you've talked about, I think they make total sense. So yeah, fair play to that. Like in terms of projected points, Andy, another ton for you in game week 10.
I'd love it. I mean, I look at this team and I think compared to Game Week 8 wildcarders, Game Week 9 wildcarders, I don't think I'm far behind them now. If I get Sterling or Zaha in,
No.
I don't see where the advantage is for them particularly. Reece James, if he goes off, that could hurt me. But
Yeah.
apart from that, anyone else? Bowen, if he goes off, be
Yeah.
not great. But yeah, I'm happy with where it is.
I want to think two steps ahead here. Actually, you're looking at your team. That let's just say the transfers that you get in work in this game week. They work in game week 11. They work in game week 12, right? Do you feel that you could be in a position where you may not then wildcard in game week 13, or is wildcard? You mentioned it was locked in, but
Mm.
what if the transfers that you've got are just hitting gold, and then actually you don't need to wildcard your team because you've got like 90% of the players that are doing the business for you?
Well, I mean, again, it's fixtures. So I think that Sterling's going to do well because he's got three nice fixtures,
Yeah,
and then everyone bring him in, hopefully, because he's hauled 3 weeks running. The fixtures change, and that's when I start again with the players that have got good fixtures. And the Arsenal and City attackers, I think, from 13 to 16 just look great. So if I'm selling people like Saka and Martinelli and Jesus, then I'll want them back again in 13, even regardless of my transfers doing well. And I think I'm going to go for Trossard perhaps because he's got a good fixture in 12. Even if he gets like another haul, he'll be out again on wildcard. It's just playing the fixtures, isn't it?
absolutely. No, fair play to that. I've just noticed, Andy, there's a lot of questions that have come in through my DMs, and I can see some questions that have come in the chat as well. I was going to play our combination game, but if we could go
Oh,
through
the
some
combo
questions.
game. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No, it's fine. Yeah, questions.
So,
Let's go.
so, so like the combo game, for those that aren't aware, it's a game where I basically provide player names to Andy, and then he has to guess the combinations by the ranked tier. And to be fair to him, whenever he's played it, it's been relatively accurate. So I'm looking forward to him playing this game before to close off the show. Before I move on to the questions, I'd really appreciate it if you can like, comment, share, and subscribe. I've been told that if you do those things, it helps the algorithm in YouTube. I'm new to YouTube, but if you can do those things, I've heard those phrases so many times whenever I watch a YouTube video, and I now know why. So if you could do one of those four things, that would be greatly appreciated. I don't want your money. I don't want your love. I want your subscribes, likes, comments, and shares. So thank you very much. And we'll come on to the questions now. So I guess I'll go to my DMs here, Andy.
Okay.
Straight away. Question for the show. Thoughts on selling Salah and De Silva for Zaha? Oh, hold on. Thoughts on selling Salah and De Silva for Zaha, Bowen, Foden, and or Sterling this week for a -4? I want to attack the next couple of fixtures and then, like yourself, wildcard in game week 13.
Mm. Those fixtures for Chelsea, especially, I think perhaps they're being overlooked. If you got the money to go and get Sterling in, I think it's wise. And I think a lot of people are heading the way of myself and thinking like, if you get these 8-9 million mids in, there's enough of them to move them around and play the fixtures game. So like moving Salah downwards, moving even KDB downwards, then you don't need those cheapies in midfield. You can have a midfield that's Martinelli and then 4-8 million mids. And I think in that position you can just change it around nicely and not have too much to worry about budget. So those players you mentioned are good. Yeah, what was it? Zaha,
Oh,
Sterling.
let me go back to it. Zaha, Bowen, Foden, and or Sterling.
Yeah, I mean, I would depends what you're doing and thinking about 12 and how many City players you have. I mean, Foden's a good pick. Bowen, I'm not as hot as everyone else is. A lucky assist and one goal last week, and that's been it for the season. I still want to see a bit more from Bowen, but
Yeah,
I understand why. But I think I prefer Zaha and Sterling and Foden. But yeah.
fair play. And another question that's come in, and this is for someone on an active wild card: is having both Wilson and is it Skamaka worth
Mm.
it? If not, who should they replace them with?
I think Scamacca's the best West Ham asset over Bowen. I think he's going to score quite a few.
Oh wow,
I do. Um, I like the punt for Scamacca personally. Um, Wilson is kind of always an injury away from being out again for 3 or 4 weeks. I think you've got to have Haaland. I would put Scamacca in there. Um, and then maybe based on fixtures, you can go someone like Welbeck, Mitrovic maybe.
fair enough.
Yeah,
I yeah, from my side, I'd want to see more from Skamaka before I get invested in him. And sorry, just a compliment here for you, Andy. Many fantasy games are all about patience. Very few have it. That's why I like Andy's game style. And this person also has a wild card at hand here, so
I love
uh,
FPL Spartans as well. Good person. So
brilliant.
thanks for
Uh,
thanks.
Fantastic. And this is a bit of a random one from FPL Zaha. It's not FPL related. Who's your captain on EFL Fantasy this week?
It is Will Keane from Wigan. He's got double game week. Um, tough. It's a toss up between Brereton Diaz and Keane, but I went for Keane with Diaz as vice captain. Double game week, so it's all fun and games.
Fair play. And this is a less so a question, more of a, well, I guess it is a question from General Zod in the chat. Budget at the back. Am I right, lads?
Yes, there's so many options. Budget at the back, definitely. Gahey, Castagna, Justin, Everton defenders if you need to go there. Zuma, Dunk, Webster. Why not? There's enough in there. I know Zod might think adding he's an Everton fan, so perhaps he's got an Everton bias. He might go for like a Cody or a Tarkowski maybe. But
Yeah. And
I think if you've got Trippier, he's been great. You can ignore it. I mean, Saliba's under 5 million still,
yeah,
so
it's interesting. Like this season, like obviously the strikers, it's all been about Haaland, and then recently the mid-priced midfielders have come to the fore. The big at the back has basically been a failure completely, for want of a better word. And a lot of us heavily invested, like me especially. I'm surprised I was so reliant on it early on. It kind of did work to a degree, but I kind of feel that those that unlocked from big at the back early on and invested in the midfield, they're the ones that have had a massive head start. So I don't think big at the back is completely gone, but for the time being, like I had to sell Trent, was it 2 game weeks back, and then James, like it's just frustrating when he's not. Okay, we're not expecting him to get 12 points every game week, but every now and then the expectation is there for a player in the way that he plays. So budget has been a good. Well, it's been the way forward in defence this season.
yeah, it has been. And a lot of people went for kind of a cheap mid with either like a Bailey or Neto, which has completely flopped. Then I guess
Yeah.
they would have kind of moved to Rodrigo or Gross. And then since they've hauled, they've gone off a cliff again, and it's kind of scrambling around. And if you've got Salah, then it makes it more difficult. So yeah, I think we'll find a way of everyone meeting at the 8 million mids now. I think.
And talking of the 8 million mids, is it a case of the 8 million mids hokey cokey? Asks Johnny Small.
I think play the fixtures. I mean, if you've used your wild card already, if you can get 3 8 million mids in there and look at them and think, all right, who's got the next three? So okay, so I've got Madison in. Bowen's got a couple of nice fixtures, and then maybe you go for Foden for a couple of weeks. It's easy then in say 3 weeks' time to go Madison to DS, or Kulu might come back and you go, okay, I can do Bowen to Kulu. It's just an easy swap. There's enough players in that price range. Zaha that you could put in there as well to just make it easy to switch around players as a structure. I think because you've got like 10 players in that price range, it's easy to switch around. So that's why I like it.
Fair play. And just one more question before we come on to the combination game, Andy. Question from Darren. Who will score more this game week, Cancelo or James?
Oh, don't. I'm so fearful of James. Okay, I don't own him. I won't own him tomorrow. It's kind of like I've got the money to do a -4, but I'm not going to. But I'm going to say James is going to get like a 12-pointer.
A 12-pointer. Well, I
Mm.
that's music to my ears, Andy. So I'm not gonna argue with you on that.
Up the Wolves,
So,
up the Wolves. Come on, Wolves.
do you feel you'll be compelled to get James if he hauls against Wolves this weekend?
No, because I've just got to sell these Arsenal guys for 12. So again, it's just one I'm going to be skipping over. But should I bite the bullet and go -4 and get James in because I think he's going to do well? Maybe.
Hmm.
It's only 4 points, and if he hauls, I don't know.
Perfect.
I don't like hits though.
No, neither do I. I've not had a hit at all this season, and I think I mentioned I was a bit too patient. But like the fact the wild card is around the corner, I know that if I'd already used my wild card, I would be taking hits if I needed to. But like right now, I don't think there's an excessive need. Now I can see that there's more questions I've got in through my DMs, Andy, and also in the YouTube chat. But I want to play the combination game. This is the one game I only play with you and Rubber Ducky. I think that's it. So the fact you're here, I can play this game with you. But the game has actually changed because this used to be the combo for the top 10k, but
Mm.
livefpl.net have now allowed it so that we could do combinations for top 100k, top 1 million, um, top top 2 million, right? So just to keep it like like for me, top 10k. I don't want to say it's not credible. It is becoming more credible, but I'm doing it top 100k, and I've
Yeah,
just realised you can see my screen because previously you wouldn't you weren't able to see my
yeah,
screen.
no. I mean, I can look away if you want, if that's helpful.
In fact, you know what I'll do? Let me switch my screen. I just realised I was going to give you the answers there. I was like, because on when we used to play this game on Spaces, you couldn't see it. But
No,
oh,
I was going to say like I think 100k at this stage of the season is better to do than 10k. 10k is
yeah,
more of a second half of the season thing.
exactly.
And I mean, you look at like players. I've looked at players in the top 10 overall, and they've played 4 chips already.
Yeah,
It's not sustainable. And there's a lot of people. If you're in the top 10k now and you've not played any chips, there's so many people above you that have played all their chips already and just waiting to crash and burn. Right.
exactly.
So
I, I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna do a triple up, Andy here. And
okay.
these are the players that did well in game week 9. So I'm gonna combine Madison. I'm gonna combine Gerard Bowen, top 100k, and also I'm gonna combine Phil Foden in the top
Mm,
100k.
okay.
So what is their combined ownership?
I would say 1.9%.
Let's have a look. Gonna go there. So for those that can't see it, and Andy certainly won't be able to. Madison's EO in the top 100k, 23%, 4.95% for Bowen, Foden 6%, and the combined ownership, you weren't a million miles off, it's 0.55%.
Yeah, if I knew Madison's was that low, actually. No, sorry, Bowen's was that low in the top 100k. I
Yeah,
think I would have gone lower, but I thought it was higher than that. Yeah, fair
yeah.
play.
Now I'm going to do a relatively easier one now. I say easier. Two players that have high EOs, but it'll be interesting. In fact, I'll be surprised with this one as well. So Haaland in the top 100k.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I'm looking at his EO. It's quite hilarious, right? Looking at it, and I've got Mohamed Salah here as well, right? In fact, just those two, Andy. What is their combined EO in the top 100k?
So I guess it's around like 95% for Haaland and probably 30% ish for Salah, maybe less.
Yep.
So I think 14%.
Ah, so your percentages were not a million miles off. Haaland is 99.44% owned.
99. Wow. Okay.
He's like Don Bradman of FPL at the moment, and and Mohamed Salah is 33.83%. But you'll be surprised, the combined ownership is a lot higher. It's
Yeah.
33.5%.
Okay, fair. I mean, everyone that's everyone that owns Salah obviously owns Haaland, doesn't he? So yeah, that's fair.
Right, yeah. And all right, now I want you to give me two, and I'll let you guess the combos for them.
Okay, let's go for some defenders. So
Yep.
just two defenders, or
Two. Let's start off with two right now. Yeah.
okay. So let's go Reece James
Yep.
and Cancelo, as the question was earlier.
Yep. So can you guess what their EOs are in the top 100K at the moment?
I would say Cancelo maybe 50%.
Okay.
James maybe slightly less, like 35, 40.
Okay. And what's their combined ownership?
18%.
So you actually way off the mark on three counts there.
Okay,
So
fine.
sorry. So James's EO is 49.68%. Cancelo's EO is 77.8%.
77, really that high?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So do you want to revise your combined EO then for them?
Yeah, I mean 77 is actually that's quite surprised me actually.
Yeah, me too.
It's going to be like 30 odd percent, like 31% maybe.
40.47%.
Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of people own both. Yeah.
I'm going to add another name in the mix now. Trippier for Newcastle. So Trippier, Cancelo, and James, Andy. So if I add him into the mix, what do you think is the combined EO there?
I'm guessing Trippier would be close-ish to Cancelo, right? Like 60%
Yep.
EO.
He's got a high EO. Yep.
Yeah. In the 30s, maybe around 30% then for that.
Let's have a look. Well, yeah, you're not a million. Well, you're pretty much spot on. 29%.
Okay. Yeah.
So yes, interesting there. Let's just do one more, then we'll answer any remaining questions and then wrap up. So, go on, your final three players then.
Final three. Okay, let's have a bit of a differential
Go on.
splurge. Okay, so let's have. Let's think. We'll go Zaha.
Oh, yep, Zaha, love it.
Don't think it'd be that popular going into it.
Hmm.
We'll say Trossard.
Yep. Oh, okay.
And let's get an attacker in there. Let's say Harry Kane.
Harry Kane as well. So yeah, go on. What's the EO there? Combined EO for those
Combined
three?
EO of those three. It's got to be 0 point something, I guess.
Yeah, it'll be
0.6.
0.6. So Zaha's EO was 19%.
That's higher than I thought.
Yeah, Trossard was 3%. Kane's at 24.4%. Andy, are you cheating here?
Not cheating, no. Is it right?
What was your answer? Say it again.
0.6%.
Okay, so I misheard it. It's 0.06%.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Shame. Yeah.
So, hold on, apologies. The YouTube chat is being spammed. Let me just block the user. My apologies, Andy. So that's gotten rid of. So yeah, look, incredible there.
So 0.06, is that 60 or 600 managers in 600 managers, is it?
I think
in the
that
top
is
100K.
600 in the top 100K. Exactly.
Yeah.
So fair play. I've thoroughly enjoyed that. And unfortunately, that's all the time we've got for questions for today. But I wanted to just firstly, Andy, thank you so much for joining my stream. It's so good to join you on a Friday night talking about FPL, talking about Mohamed Salah. We've not even mentioned Kevin De Bruyne. What's going on?
It's old news. It's old news last season. We've got to go for a new one this year. I mean, I would love to go against Haaland and like go for someone else, but if Haaland gets a double game week later in the season, it's going to be hard to resist it, isn't it? So
fair play. No, fair play to that. Andy, anything you'd like to plug before we sign off for tonight?
No, not particularly. I mean, I still think brown sugar, raisins, banana, and some chocolate chips is the best porridge flavors you can get. So I'll push that narrative. But no, nothing really. I had a
Fantastic.
clash of correspondence with Migtavius on Planet FPL this week. So you go and listen to that if you want. It's a Palace v Leeds preview, which is quite interesting if you're interested ahead of Sunday's game. So give that a listen.
Fantastic. And someone's asking if you're on Twitter. Yes, he is. He's Andy Martin at FPL_tactician on Twitter. You'll see his porridge-laden tweets every other morning. You'll see his love for Kevin De Bruyne and his "told you so" for Mohamed Salah.
It's very boring. It's very boring all the time. The same old tweets get churned out. So yeah.
Fantastic, Andy. It's been a privilege as always. For those that are who missed the first part of this show, it'll be available on playback in a moment's time. Apart from that, may your arrows be green, may your mind be serene. Take care and all the best, everyone. Thank you and
Cheers,
goodbye.
guys. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.